This is the outpost board. The outpost is a sanctuary for the sand runners while in the night phase. Here they will prepare before heading out into the outland. While in the night phase you will have access to the entire outpost board. This is the setup for Scenario 1, The Awakening. In this scenario the scout has been poisoned and is placed on the healing stone. The healing stone acts as a resting place for injured and poisoned sand runners. One of the requirements in this scenario is to cure the scout of poison. In addition, he also holds the bone ring of peril. To the right of the healing stone is the perch. It houses sand wings that are found in the outland. Directly below the healing stone is the garden for planting specific findings. Beneath the garden resides the crypt. The crypt is a holding for up to 3 dead sand runners. In this scenario the twin mirror sand runner has been placed here. The Death Collector, seen here, wields a tuning fossil in his right hand. A larger depiction of the fossil is represented here. In this scenario you will place 1 living orb on one of the 5 dormant orb positions. This fossil has many unique abilities as you progress. One of which is the ability to perform a premonition, which will be shown during the playthrough. At the bottom right of the fossil there is a depiction of a carved piece of stone that houses the Death Collector's current ability token. To the left place 3 Death Stone cubes on his blue finger. These Death Stones will be used to activate the Death Collector's current ability. Represented here are 3 fingers. Any bone rings discovered will be placed here. A maximum of 1 ring per finger may be placed. Near the top, and to the left of the tuning fossil, place the day and night token on its night side. This indicates that you are currently in the night phase. To the left of the tuning fossil are 3 path access points to the Greater Sand Gate, the Keep, the Market Court, and the Mill of Embers. For this scenario, you will place the Vermin token on the Mill of Embers path access point. For this scenario the sand runners start with 3 unlocked positions. This indicates which sand runners will be exploring the outlands during the day phase. To continue setup, place the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd position tokens in their unlocked positions. The 4th position token remains in its locked position, but may become unlocked by gaining influence throughout the scenario. In the Awakening scenario you will have access to the Flatland Ritualist and the Brute. Below the 1st position token, you will place the 7 Ember Stone cubes. These Ember Stones are the most significant resource in the Sandrunner's possession. They are used to traverse and interact while exploring the outland in the day phase, and will be used to visit the Keep, the Market Court, and the Mill of Embers while in the night phase. In addition, they may be used to activate specific Sandrunner abilities. Next, place 3 Flatland crystals in the crystal holding. There is no limit to the amount of crystals that the group may hold. To the left of the crystal holding is the Talisman action slot. This indicates the Sandrunners start this scenario with 1 Talisman action. Next, place 1 Sand Whistle token in the Super Light item slot. A maximum of 3 Super Light items may be placed in this area. To the left of the Super Light inventory is the Council token holding. These tokens may be acquired throughout the scenario. The 8 slots in the middle represent the Sandrunner's light inventory. Place 2 bone dust, 1 meat, 1 vessel, 1 net, and 1 urn of old. And finally, 2 short claw daggers are placed on the Flatland Ritualist and the Brute. Near the outpost board place the inactive Sandrunner holding card, the inactive inventory card, and finally, the grave card. Above the outpost board is the keep, the market court, and the mill of embers. To the right of the mill of embers resides the influence board. At the keep you will hire sandrunners and trade with the keep offering during the night phase. Sandrunners have a hiring cost of either 1 or 2 flatland crystals, which is represented on the bottom left of the Sandrunner character card. In the left holding place the Ritualist of the Tar Hollows, and the Stone Cliffs, the Dreamer of Death, and the Dreamer of Agony. Next, place the Butcher and the Blood Tongue in the hiring holding to the right. Now, place the scenario-specific keep offering card below the keep hiring post irons. To the right of the keep is the market court. Within the market court, trades may be made with the merchants. In addition, you may interact with the trainer and also the pariah. While visiting the market, the sand runners may also perform a maximum of 2 threaten actions. With each threaten action, the sand runners will gain 1 flatland crystal, but at the penalty of a half negative influence. To the right of the market court stands the Mill of Embers. Within the Mill of Embers, you may interact with the Alchemist and the Bonesmith. The Alchemist specializes in unique crafting items and materials. Place the 3 festering stone cubes on their respective positions. Beneath the Alchemist resides the Bonesmith. He specializes in the making and repairing of weaponry and other essential items, such as bone dust, torches, and meat. Lastly, at the keep, place the Sunken Sludge scroll token on the turquoise banner. At the market court, place the Windcatch scroll token, and at the Mill of Embers, place the Broken Roost scroll token. These scrolls may be delivered to their corresponding settlement for influence and favor. To the right of the Mill of Embers sits the influence board. The influence pillar tracks the Sandrunner's progress as they acquire influence through various actions. Here you will place the half influence token on its neutral side. The influence token will be placed directly below. Next, place the Sandrunner's 4th unlock token, and finally, place 3 council tokens like so. Various actions will affect the Sandrunner's influence in the day and night phases. This is the settlement offering deck. These cards provide unique trades at the outland settlements. Shuffle the deck, draw the top 3 cards and pick one. These trades will be available to the Sandrunners until the end of this scenario. This is the Outland board. This represents the 3 regions of the Great Plateau, beyond the Sandgate. Here are the 4 decks of the Stone Cliffs, the 4 decks of the Flatlands, and the 4 decks of the Tar Hollows. To the right of each region are the 3 corresponding faction decks, each with a threat counter token that is placed below. These threat tokens begin the scenario at a threat of 2, downward facing. Next, randomly place 6 plateau tokens face down in the 6 respective plateau holdings. In the top left corner of the Outland board is the day tracker. For this scenario, place the day counter on day 1. Place the event marker on its broken side on day 2. Now place the end of scenario counter on day 5. To the right of the day tracker place the Wanderer deck, the Altar deck, the Rakma Desolation deck, the Rakma Altar deck with its Rakma cover card placed on top. And finally, place the Cave deck. At the top right of the Outland board is the Rakma track. Place the 3 Rakma tokens to the right of the Rakma track. For the Awakening scenario, place the Tar Witch scenario card below the Tar Hollows deck 2. Next, place a Skull of Failure token, a Sand Whistle token, and a Sardi's Constellation token, and splay these tokens beneath Stone Cliff's Deck 3. Lastly, place the Dead Mouth Raider token on its cave side, beneath Flatland Deck 4. Near the Outland board, we suggest you place the Dead Mouth Raider tarot card, along with the Hand of Desperation token. Place the 2 dual-sided combat boards, along with a health token and attack token nearby. Next, place the 4 Outland Beast tarot cards and the 3 Camp Ritualist cards. Now, place the Sandwing cards and the Howler cards. Within reach, keep the 2 ritual dice, the 3d6 dice, the 5 pink combat dice, and the 5 turquoise advanced combat dice. And finally, place the catacomb tokens in the black catacomb bag. Next, place the buried relic tokens in the brown buried relic bag. The Awakening, Scenario 1, now begins in the night phase. For their first action, the Sand Runners travel to the keep, placing 1 Ember Stone on the keep's access point. They now have access to the keep for the remainder of this current night phase. Here the group decides to grab the Sunken Sludge Scroll token, which is a free action. If this scroll is delivered to the Sunken Sludge settlement, they will be awarded with 1 influence. The scroll is a super light item indicated by the feather icon. It will be placed near the Sand Whistle, in the super light item slot. Next, the group decides to hire the Dreamer of Pain for 1 Flatland crystal. Place the spent crystal in the supply. The Dreamer of Pain's ability may only be activated while in the Vanguard position, indicated by this symbol on position 1. Note, any Sand Runner may occupy and activate their ability while in the Vanguard position. Any Sand Runner with a Vanguard ability can occupy any position, but may only activate their ability while in the Vanguard position. At this point, the group is prepared and ready to venture into the Outland in the day phase. Flip the Night and Day token to its day side. An important reminder: while in the day phase, the Sand Runner group and the Death Collector only have access from the left slope of the tuning fossil to the right edge of the outpost board. The group may travel into any one of the 3 regions, starting from the far left. The Sand Runners make the decision to travel into Flatland Deck 1. Revealing the top card, we have the moon icon in the top left corner, signifying that the group is in Flatland's Deck 1. Place 1 Ember Stone in the top left corner. This indicates the Sand Runners have now traveled to this location. Now we check the constellation in the top right corner for any present threat. This is an Atrox constellation, and currently there is no threat. If there was a near threat, there would be a crescent moon to the left of the constellation. If there was a distant threat, there would be a crescent moon to the right. Since there is no threat, the Sand Runners may choose to interact with any present action at the location. On this particular location, the group observes a cursed fog of starless near the horizon. The Sand Runners cannot interact with the cursed fog of starless. However, every subsequent cursed fog of starless revealed within the current day will curse the group. The group observes beast tracks, indicated here. If the Sand Runners wished, they could take a basic action and begin tracking a Shadow Horn beast by placing 1 Ember Stone on the tracks. At this time the group chooses not to. Before they move on to the next location, they have the option of performing a ritual, performing a tuning action, and also performing a scouting action. These unique actions may be performed anywhere in the Outland, provided the group is not engaged in combat. The Sand Runners choose to perform a ritual action by placing one Ember Stone on the Flatland Ritualist's ability icon. Because the Flatland Ritualist is currently in the Flatlands, he has the benefit of rolling both ritual dice. We roll the dice, and the result is one water icon with a Rakma icon in the top right corner, and one lightning. Because the group has a ritual vessel in their active inventory, they may capture one of these rituals. The Sand Runners choose to capture the water at the penalty of adding one Rakma token to the top left of the Rakma track. From the supply, we grab one water token and place it on the ritual vessel. The water token is placed on the vessel token. Now that the water has been captured, the ritual vessel now becomes a heavy item and must be carried by one of the Sand Runners. The Flatland Ritualist is currently holding a short claw dagger and cannot carry a second heavy item. So, the Dreamer of Pain chooses to hold it. At this point, the group is ready to move on. They could perform a basic travel action and reveal the next Flatland card in this current deck. Or, they could choose to move farther into the Flatlands, traveling adjacent, into Flatland Deck 2. Or, they could also perform a region traversal, either moving up to the Stonecliffs Deck 1, or down into Tar Hollow's Deck 1. Lastly, the group could move diagonal to a plateau. Traveling to a plateau or another region can be a dangerous venture, so the group chooses to continue exploring Flatland Deck 1. We reveal the top card from Flatland Deck 1 and place one Ember Stone in the top left corner. We check the constellation for threats. Depicted here is a Cauda constellation with a crescent moon to the right. This signifies a distant threat. The distant threat is two short claws depicted here. Distant threats will not attack until the group chooses to interact with any findings depicted on an Outland card. However, distant threats will not attack while the group performs unique actions, such as scouting, rituals, and tuning. A cursed fog of starless near the horizon is present, which triggers a curse. From the supply, grab a curse token and place it on any slot in the active item inventory. The curse token will take up that slot and remain until it has been removed. The Sand Runners choose to interact with a haunted tomb, represented here. The group chooses one Sand Runner to enter. Place one Ember Stone on the tomb. Any one of these three Sand Runners could enter the tomb, but they choose to send the Flatland Ritualist. Because the Ritualist does not have a torch, he will become haunted upon entering the tomb. Place a haunted token over the Ritualist's ability icon. The Ritualist is now considered haunted. A haunted Sand Runner cannot use their ability until their haunted status is removed. While in the tomb, the Ritualist grabs one Urn of Old. Place an Urn of Old token in the active item inventory. By interacting with the tomb, the group has triggered the distant threat. The two short claws will now advance towards the Sand Runners and attack. When a threat attacks, they are interacting with the Sand Runner group, and therefore an Ember Stone will not be placed. Attacking threat setup. Place the Short Claw Tarot card on the two Short Claw side, near the combat board. Each Short Claw has a health of 1, so we will place the health token on position 2 of the combat board. In addition, each Short Claw has 1 attack, so we place the attack token on position 2. A threat will always attack first, unless the sand runners choose to use a bone dust. The short claws have a weak attack, which means their combat dice results will roll down -1. So, the sand runners choose to not use a bone dust, thus allowing the short claws to attack first. The two short claws have a unique approach when attacking. The first will attack position 1, while the second will attack the farthest occupied position. In this case, the Flatland Ritualist in position 3. Grab the pink combat dice position 1 and position 3 and roll them. The short claw attacking position 1 has rolled a heavy damage, but it is a weak attack, so it rolls down to a light damage. The short claw attacking the third position has rolled a light damage, and also being a weak attack, it rolls down to a miss. The Dreamer of Pain has no weapon or item to defend with, so he receives 1 light injury. From the supply, place 1 damage token on him, with the light damage icon downward facing. Ordinarily, a sand runner with a light injury would be unable to attack, but having a Vanguard ability, while being in the Vanguard position, allows such a character to continue attacking with a light or heavy injury. Since the Dreamer of Pain has taken 1 light injury, his tuning ability has been triggered. From the supply, place 1 living orb on an empty slot within the tuning fossil, and exhaust his tuning ability. Place his position token over his ability icon. Now that the short claws attacks have been resolved, the sand runners may now attack. Unlike an attacking threat, the sand runners attack in 2 phases: the initial attack and the follow-up attack. Any sand runner may attack as long as they are able. In this case, all 3 sand runners choose to attack. Grab the 3 pink combat dice. Positions 1, 2, and 3. The Dreamer of Pain and the Brute choose to target the short claw that was attacking position 1, while the Flatland Ritualist chooses to target the second short claw that was attacking position 3. The sand runners roll for their initial attack. The Dreamer of Pain, in position 1, has rolled a miss, the Brute in position 2 has rolled a light damage, and the Flatland Ritualist, in position 3, has rolled a heavy damage. Because the Brute and the Ritualist did not roll a full damage, they will now roll for their follow-up attack. Since the Dreamer of Pain rolled a miss, he is no longer involved in this combat round, and will not roll for the follow-up phase. For the follow-up phase, they roll attack dice once again. The Brute in position 2 rolls a full damage, killing the first short claw, and the Ritualist in position 3 rolls a light damage. Ordinarily, this light damage result would be considered a miss in the follow-up phase, but luckily the Ritualist is wielding a short claw dagger, and he decides to throw it. This rolls up his attack result +1, turning the final result into a heavy damage. Remove the short claw dagger token and return it to the supply. In the follow-up phase, any heavy or full damage result is considered a success, each dealing 1 damage. Because both short claws have 1 health each, and were both targeted by successful attacks, they are now defeated. Gain a half positive influence on the influence track. Flip the neutral influence token so that the half positive influence portion is downward facing. Next, from the supply, grab 2 short claw remain tokens. These remains are heavy items and must be carried by the sand runners. The Flatland Ritualist picks up 1 remain, while the Brute picks up the second. The Brute's ability allows him to either carry 2 heavy items or weapons. This is considered a sustained ability. At this point, the group decides to travel to Flatland Deck 2. They reveal the top card and place one ember stone in the top left corner. We check the constellation, and there is no current threat. However, an altar is present, triggering a card from the altar deck. We reveal the top card. It is a tentative howler. This howler cannot be interacted with and will immediately alarm the Outland faction in this region. Rotate the Flatland Savage threat token counterclockwise to its 3 position, downward facing. Place the revealed altar card at the bottom of the altar deck. This specific altar has a sand wing perched on top. The group could choose to interact with the sand wing by placing one ember stone on the sand wing and feeding it one meat. But the sand runners would rather save their ember stone to uproot the bloodleaf plant. Uprooting a plant requires 2 ember stones, but the sand runners only have 1. However, the Death Collector's current ability allows his 3 death stones to be used in place of ember stones, but at the penalty of increasing the Rachma track. The group decides to place 1 ember stone and 1 death stone to uproot the bloodleaf plant. Increase the Rachma track by 1. From the supply, grab the bloodleaf token. Currently there isn't a sand runner who is capable of carrying another heavy item, so the brute chooses to drop a short claw remain and marks it with the sand whistle token from their super light inventory. They are currently at a Sordis constellation, so from the supply, they grab a Sordis constellation token, placing it on top of the sand whistle. Place these tokens beneath Flatland Deck 2. The brute picks up the bloodleaf plant. Place the bloodleaf on the brute. The group also observes a crab beetle that is cursed. Note this does not trigger the cursed Fog of Starless effect. The group would only gain a curse if they decided to catch the vermin, crab beetle. The group now chooses to return to the outpost, triggering the end of day phase. The group will move into the return phase once they have placed their final ember stone or have decided to end the day phase. Reminder: combat must be resolved before moving into the return phase. In this order: move the day counter to the following day and flip the day token to night. The night phase now begins. In this scenario, we have triggered the broken event marker on the day track. This signifies that the Dead Mouth Raider exits the cave in Flatland Deck 4. Flip the Dead Mouth Raider token and remove the broken event marker. For the remainder of the Awakening scenario, the Dead Mouth Raider will be hunting the group in the Outland. Return all ember stones to the source on the outpost board. They are now refreshed. Move all explored Outland cards to their respective discard piles. Sand runners with exhausted actions will refresh. The Death Collector's death stones do not refresh. Place the stones on the collector's empty hand. Injured sand runners returning to the outpost must perform a stamina check. These are resolved one at a time by rolling 1d6 for each injured character. If the result is equal to or lower than the injured sand runner's stamina, they maintain their current injury status and are placed on the healing stone. If the result is higher than their stamina, they will take an additional injury. This means a sand runner who fails a stamina check with a heavy injury will die and must be placed in the crypt. If a sand runner with the resurrected status dies, they will be placed in the grave. Since the Dreamer of Pain has a light injury, we roll 1d6 for the stamina check. The d6 roll result is a 4, which is higher than his stamina of 2. Therefore, his light injury becomes a heavy, and he will be placed on the healing stone. Remove the damage token. In the next night phase, he will be fully healed and may return into the outland with the group. The scout will remain on the healing stone until she is cured of poison. The sand runners decide to plant their blood leaf in the garden, which increases their influence by 1. Next, they take their ritual water token and place it on the planted blood leaf. Watering the blood leaf will produce 1 blood fruit in this night phase. Or, the group may decide to leave the water on the blood leaf, which will produce 2 blood fruit in the following night phase. The group decides to harvest 1 blood fruit now, return the water token to the supply, and grab 1 blood fruit token. They may place the fruit in their active or inactive inventory. They choose to place it in their active inventory. Currently the sand runners have yet to capture a vermin, and therefore do not have access to the mill of embers. So they will place the short claw remain token in their inactive inventory. The sand runners wish to cure the scout of poison, but they do not have a poison elixir on hand, so instead they will visit the Per-Rai-Ha at the market court, placing 1 ember stone on the market court path access point. They spend 1 flatland crystal and take 1/2 negative influence, flipping the neutral influence token back to its neutral side. The Per-Rai-Ha mumbles an indistinct verse, curing the scout of her poison. Remove the poison token and place it in the supply. Returning to health from the foggy depths of her poisoning, the scout discovers that she is in possession of the bone ring of peril. Unable to wield it, she gifts it to the death collector, placing it on his finger. The sand runners spend 1 flatland crystal to purchase a torch from the market court. From the supply, grab 1 torch token. The recently cured scout chooses to carry it. Before heading into the outland, the group requests that the death collector perform a premonition. This will allow the death collector to reveal outland cards before the group heads into the outland. The group is trying to find the sunken sludge settlement in the Tar Hollows Deck 2. The collector uses 1 living orb within the tuning fossil to reveal the top card of Tar Hollows Deck 2. Remove 1 living orb. The revealed card is not what the group is looking for, so he chooses to discard it. The collector is unable to look at another card within the Tar Hollows Deck 2, as it would require 2 living orbs to do so. Therefore, the collector with the last remaining living orb chooses to reveal the top card of the Tar Hollows Deck 1. Remove the last remaining living orb. He reveals a threat that the group would prefer not to encounter, so he discards it. Once the premonition is complete, grab a dead orb from the supply and place it upon a slot within the tuning fossil. Because the group could not locate the settlement through a premonition, the sand runners choose to start the day phase. Flip the night and day token to its day side. The day phase has begun. The group wishes to travel to the flatland region, but before traveling, the scout decides to use her ability. Place 1 ember stone on her scouting ability icon. Her ability is now exhausted. She reveals the top card from Flatland Deck 1, revealing a near threat, which is a Shadowhorn beast. The sand runners want to avoid this threat, so she discards that card, and now the sand runners will choose to travel into the next card in Flatland Deck 1. Place 1 ember stone on the moon icon in the top left corner. Next, in the top right corner, we check for a threat, which there are none. The group observes a wanderer resting inside a tattered shelter, seen here. To the right of the wanderer, the sand runners see a flatland crystal, which could be mined. They decide to interact with the wanderer, placing one ember stone on the icon. Before interacting with a wanderer, the sand runners must decide to either offer meat for a trade or invite the wanderer to join the group. The group chooses to invite the wanderer. Reveal the top card off of the wanderer deck. Had we chosen to trade with this wanderer, he would have offered us a Flatland Savage banner for 1 meat. But since we invited him to join our group, we now have the option to escort him to the Dunespire settlement in Flatland Deck 4. If ever we were to do so, the Sand Runners would be rewarded with 2 influence. He now joins the Sand Runner group. Place him in position 4, which is a locked position. If there were no open positions, or a locked position represented, the Wanderer would be unable to join the group. The Wanderer may only inhabit this locked position for the remainder of the day phase. The group chooses not to mine the Flatland Crystal and instead moves into Flatland Deck 2. They reveal the top card of Flatland Deck 2. Place 1 ember stone on the top left corner and check the constellation for threats. A near threat is present. It is a Shadowhorn beast. Place the Shadowhorn beast tarot card next to the combat board. Place it on its non-mega side. The beast has a health of 2 and an attack of 2. The Shadowhorn has a unique ability called Strike Back. This seems like a formidable threat, so the group decides to use 1 bone dust before combat begins. Remove 1 bone dust token from the active inventory. For a bone dust action, roll 2d6. The high result will be your defense if you choose, while the lower result will be your attack. Choose 1. In this situation, a 3 and 4 were rolled. This will allow the group to either attack with 3 characters, or, for characters may defend. By choosing to defend, the Shadowhorn would attack first, but its attack would roll down -1. The group chooses to attack first, so they take the lower result, allowing 3 to attack. The Brute, the Flatland Ritualist, and the Wanderer choose to attack. Roll their corresponding pink combat dice for positions 2, 3, and 4. The Brute and the Flatland Ritualist both roll a miss. The Wanderer rolls 1 full damage. The Brute throws his short claw dagger to roll his attack up +1, allowing him to progress into the follow-up phase. Discard the dagger token. Now the Brute will roll again for the follow-up phase. He rolls a light damage, which is not enough to inflict a damage on the beast, so he chooses to use the Urn of Old, allowing him to re-roll. Discard the Urn of Old. He rolls again, with a heavy damage result, which is enough to inflict damage. Applying 1 damage from the Brute, and 1 damage from the Wanderer. This is enough damage to kill the Shadowhorn, however it will now perform a strike back before dying. Roll 1d6, the result is a 4, this matches position 4, since position 4 had a successful attack, he will receive 1 light damage. Place 1 light injury token on the Wanderer, downward facing. Because the Shadowhorn was attacking, gain 1 influence. Next, the Brute decides to pick up the Shadowhorn's remains. The Shadowhorn's remains are the equivalent to its starting health value, which was 2. Therefore, we will place the token on its 2 value, downward facing. Now that the group is out of combat, they take in their surroundings and observe a tomb, a Wanderer, and a Flatlands pillar, which is cursed. Since the group has a Flatland crystal and 2 characters that are able to gain insight, they choose to interact with the pillar. Place one ember stone on the pillar. The scout decides to approach and interact with the pillar, offering the flatland crystal. Discard the flatland crystal and gain one flatland insight token. Place it on the empty insight slot on the scout. By gaining insight, the group gains one influence. Gaining this influence unlocks position 4 for the remainder of this scenario. Because the pillar was cursed, the group will gain one curse token, which is placed in their active item inventory. Note, the sand whistle with the short claw remain beneath this deck does not match the constellation on their current location, so they are unable to retrieve it by placing one ember stone. The sand runners insist upon locating the sunken sludge settlement down in the tar hollows. They make a brazen decision to perform a region traversal. Note, the sand runners cannot perform a scouting action to another region before a region traversal. The group could travel down safely by placing 2 ember stones, but instead they choose to only place one. This is considered a reckless traversal. The group must roll 1d6 on the traversal table. The roll result is a 4, which is a poison path. We now roll 1d6 to see if any sandrunner or wanderer becomes poisoned. The group was fortunate and rolled a 5. Because the result does not match any currently occupied position, no character will be poisoned. They reveal the top card of the Tar Hollows deck 2. Placing one ember stone in the top left corner, they check for threats at the constellation. There is a near threat. It is a Pitwalker faction. They will now attack the group. Flip the combat board to its faction side. Next, we check the Pitwalker's threat level. It is a value of 2, therefore the group will be in combat with 2 Pitwalkers. Without revealing the top card of the Pitwalker's deck, place this first card in the far left position on the faction board, and place a position 1 marker beneath them. This is a faction follower. Note, all followers have a health of 1 and an attack of 1. The second and last Pitwalker card will be flipped and revealed, placing it on position 2. Place the position 2 marker below. The revealed Pitwalker is an elite sadist. The sadist has a health of 3 and an attack of 1. The elite sadist is considered protected, meaning the Sandrunners must defeat all followers in front of the sadist before any damage can be inflicted to the sadist. Note: damage can be inflicted to any faction leader who is protected within the combat round, as long as all followers are defeated within the same round. The group realizes they may be outmatched and choose to evade combat. Evading has the penalty of a half negative influence. In this case, we flip the neutral influence token and orient the red negative half downward facing. In addition, increase the Rakma track by 1. This triggers the Rakma altar deck. Remove the Rakma cover card, and without revealing, shuffle the top Rakma altar card into the altar deck. Evading combat also requires the group to retrace their steps by placing an ember stone, but currently they have none. So the Death Collector will use his ability, which costs 1 Death Stone. The Collector's ability increases the Rakma track by 1. When evading combat, a threat will still attack, however the attack value will be halved and rounded down. Because there are 2 Pitwalkers, they will attack the first position which is closest. If the character occupying the first position is dead, they would attack position 2, and so on. They roll an attack dice position 1, and the result is a full damage. Ordinarily, this would kill the scout, but fortunately she wields a torch, and chooses to use it for defense. The torch has a defense of 1. Rotate the torch token counterclockwise to the shield icon that is present until it is downward facing. Now, the torch will be used to reduce the attack and the torch will shatter. Discard the torch token. This has reduced the attack to a heavy damage. Place a damage token on the scout with its heavy injury side downward facing. In this situation, the group must evade to the previous outland card they traveled from. Because this is a reckless region traversal, they will roll 1d6 on the traversal table. They roll a result of 2, and they find a clear path and traverse back successfully. Upon arrival, place the Death Stone on the top left corner of the card. The Shadow Horn on this card has already been defeated, so there is no current threat. The group chooses to end the day phase. Move the day counter to day 3. Next, flip the day token to its night side. Now the night phase will begin. For this scenario, the Dead Mouth Raider will now move towards the last outland card, from which the group declared the end of day. We move the Dead Mouth Raider 1 space over to Flatlands Deck 3. At this point, the Sand Runners will return to the outpost and continue the night phase.